Well, hello everyone, welcome back to Final Fantasy XIV Story Mode on PlayFrame. We're gonna start doing another raid series today, and it's a good one. Yes, today we are taking our second little detour off of the main story quest path to do another raid series called the Coils of Bahamut, I believe. It is a very important one, basically the other raid series that was added during the patches of A Realm Reborn in addition to the Crystal Tower. It is not mandatory like the Crystal Tower is, but it is still very main story relevant, which is why we are stopping to do it. It is also very hard. We'll talk more about that later. We'll be fine, thank goodness, because we've got a whole free company full of very skilled, helpful people who are going to help us get through it, but it's real hard and mean. You'll see what I mean. Let's get this started. We're in the Waking Sands because this starts with Urianger. Here we go. Urianger would speak with you regarding the unidentified primal. When the Cenary moon did wane, there sounded a blood-curdling roar. A new primal had roused, the portents gave us to believe, one whose identity lieth beyond our ken. By thy hand 3 primals have since been vanquished. As each returned to the ether, 'twas observed that tremors foreshadowing this fourth grew in strength and frequency both. So what he's talking about, you may remember when we hit credits at the end of A Realm Reborn's main story, before we started the patches, there was, like, the characters all heard this big roar, right? And they were all worried about what that meant. We haven't heard anything much about that since. Off camera, in the meantime, in between main story quest things, I have done some optional quests that pop up where they let you go and fight harder versions of the Garuda, Titan, and Ifrit boss fights. There isn't much story to them. It's really just them saying, hey, there's bigger, meaner versions of those same primals. They're back. Can you go fight him again? And you do, so I didn't include him here, but that's what he is referring to. The resurgence of these primals has been sort of a cause of concern and a growing trend, it seems like. So, the being doth quicken, and in time it shall become a scourge upon the land. Yet even as we pondered a course of action, a benevolent soul did arise, one who would forestall this threat. Though she be tender in years, she is true of heart and steadfast of resolve. She would solicit thine aid, if thou art willing to proffer it. Lest thou wonder, this maiden is of our order. Thus did the antecedent straightways consent that thou shouldst assist her however thou mayest. As soon as thou art able, hie thee to Wineport, where thy petitioner doth await thee even now. Thou shalt for a certainty find her visage strikingly familiar. All right, to Wineport we go then, and why not? Let's just go ahead and break this out now. Here we go! And here we are. Welcome back to Wineport, everyone. And here is who we need to be talking to. Very familiar indeed. You remember her? We have not seen her in a very long time. Not since fairly early on in the Realm Reborn story when she and Alphinaud had a bit of an argument, and she stormed off because she was not entirely pleased with how Alphinaud was going about the business in general of dealing with the threats this world faced. So finally, we get to see what Alisaie has been up to and spend some time with her. It's been too long. It's been a while, adventurer. As I recall, my brother Alphinaud took the liberty of introducing us when first and last we met. But for the sake of propriety, Alisaie Levalier, I thank you for coming. I've heard much and more of your exploits. By your hand, the Black Wolf is slain and his Ultima weapon destroyed. You are possessed of great strength and courage, that much is plain. I shall have need of one such as you if I'm to see my mission through to its conclusion. As you may be aware, the violence of Dalamud's fall changed not only the face of the realm, but also the base of the realm. Specifically, it played havoc with the etheric currents, creating vast confluences of ether below the surface. Among other phenomena, this led to the formation of subterranean caverns at key points of stress. One such cavern lies beneath Castrum Occidens and extends to only God knows where. Despite appearances, Castrum Occidens is as much a research facility as it is a fortress. Gaius van Baelsar chose the site for no other reason than to probe the caverns without interference. As you went about vanquishing the returned primals, I observed a repeating wave pattern in the ether, corresponding exactly to the dates on which you were reported to have felled Ifrit, Titan, and Garuda. Upon closer examination, it became clear that these unique waveforms emanated from deep beneath the aforementioned stronghold. Crucially, I recorded the same pattern during the recent celebrations, and have since been given to understand that this phenomenon bears a disquieting similarity to one observed shortly prior to the calamity. 5 years ago, my grandfather invoked the power of the 12 that he might contain Bahamut. Alas, his efforts failed, and he vanished, together with his foe. I would know the truth of what transpired that day, of grandfather's fate, and of the metamorphosis that swept across the land. In casting light upon these mysteries, we will find a way to cure what ails this world. It's my belief that the answers I seek lie hid within the depths of the cavern. I'd have you accompany me on an expedition to find them, Derman. Why not? If truth be told, I am not wont to rely upon others, and thus far have handled matters alone, yet I'm not blind to my limitations. Unescorted, I cannot hope to succeed in this endeavor. I swore that I would find a way to restore peace to Eorzea. If you desire the self-same, then aid me, as you aided my brother and the Scions. Sure, why not? I'm in your debt. You're a man of action, and I sense that we will accomplish much together. But let's not waste any more time. As I mentioned, Castrum Occidens straddles the cavern I wish to explore. If I'm to have a hope of reaching it alive, I'll need you to infiltrate the stronghold first and locate a path into the depths. Once you've done so, pray report your success to Storm Private Jabroka. You may consider her my assistant here in Wineport. I have every faith you'll not fail me. 12 speed your way, Derman. You seem much nicer than your brother. I like you already. Okay, let's head over to Castrum Occidens and see what we can do. If it weren't quite so foggy, you'd be able to see... I mean, you can kind of see all this wild crystal structure happening here. It's quite an explosive mess of crystal in this area, which is why Occidens is here for study. Now, pardon me, Imperial forces can... What, can I not just walk through? Do I have to... Okay. I'll just come in from this side and open the door. Don't mind me. I'm too small to see. I have fought my way through Castrum Occidens successfully. Fantastic. You're welcome, everyone. Another nail-biting victory for Derman Durrami. Now, where's this? Ah, yes, Jabroka. Good to see you. I've been expecting you, Derman. By your coming, I take it you have successfully located the cavern entrance inside Castrum Occidens? So that's where it's to be found. Marvelous. Oh, but allow me to properly introduce myself. Jabroka is my name, and it's my honor to serve Lady Alisaie. Though for reasons of convenience, at present I also serve the Maelstrom. This uniform accords me certain privileges, you see. In particular, ready access to the Maelstrom's regional scouting reports. They provide a wealth of local knowledge, including information on secret passages. But enough about me. I shall notify Lady Alisaie of your discovery, that she may prepare for the expedition. Though I don't doubt your abilities, none can say what dangers lurk beneath Castrum Occidens. For my lady's sake, as well as your own, please spare neither preparation nor caution. Pray choose your companions well. Oh, I will, don't you worry. My companions are way, way more capable than me. Thank heck. So, we are ready to begin the binding Coil of Bahamut. Let me go ahead and find a place to park and explain how this is all going to work. There we are. Okay, so this raid we're about to do is broken up into 13 parts. The Crystal Tower, you will recall, was like 3 big stretches, 3 big dungeon runs, effectively, that had a bunch of bosses strewn between them. Bahamut coils work a bit differently. Some raids in this game are broken up into effectively just a bunch of isolated boss fights for the most part, and coils kind of works like that. This one is 13 long. You do them in first a set of 5, then another set of 4, then another set of 4 with a bunch of story in between. And so we're about to go do the first 5. Now, we're going to be doing these unsynced again, like we did with Crystal Tower, and kind of out of necessity this time, because Coils of Bahamut is really hard. And to the point that a lot of people kind of recommend that if you're going to be doing Coils to see the story of it, just go ahead and do it unsynced, because even unsynced, you can die real easy. We're going to be going in here with a bunch of very experienced and capable Dantalis folk, some of them at current level cap at level 90. You can still die real easy. In fact, we may still wipe a few times, because there's just a lot of mechanics in these fights that are instant kill, no matter how strong you are. I've tried to refresh on a lot of the mechanics as best I can, in preparation for this, but there's a lot, and my memory on it's going to be very fuzzy. So I'm very much going to be getting carried through this by capable people. Thank goodness. But anyway, I will go and gather our first group of folks. It's going to be a party of 8 for these, and I'll be back with you shortly. Actually, you know what? Before I go gather a party, I think that this whole raid series calls for a change of costuming. We've been in this armor for a little while. I say I go ahead and get myself some new fashion. So hang on a second while I go change. There we go. Looking all fancy and ready for a big challenge of a fight. This set was not actually made by anybody. This is an in-game set that you can get. I think it's a fancy warrior set from Stormblood content that just somehow felt very right for a big dragony Bahamut raid to me. Also, here we can see our little boy's face that way. Perfect. Okay, I think we're about ready. Let me go get the crew together and let's get started with this mess. All right, we got ourselves a team, one of which is hanging out back there, just dancing. All right, let's see who we got here, because these are all heroes. We got Kelzune, who's going to be playing a Dragoon. We've got Foe, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, who's going to be a Summoner. Mirgenstirm, who's going to be a Gunbreaker and our main tank today, thank goodness for us all. Kikau back there, who's a Monk. Alisaie Levelure, which is very fitting, who's going to be a Red Mage. Beldro, who's going to be a Bard, and Dan, another Dan, who's going to be a Scholar and healing us up as well. So that's going to be a good old time. All right, this should be entertaining. Some of these are going to be so easy. Others of these are going to be so dangerous. Wait and see which ones, I guess. Here we go. Binding Coil of Bahamut, turn 1. Situated upon Vilbrand, Castrum Occidens is more akin to a research facility than a fortress. Even before its first pillar was driven into the ground, Legatus Gaius van Baelsar had ordered his people to probe the fragment of Dalamud which fell at that precise location. The impact resulted... I'm going to scale this up a bit. Can I scale this up a bit? This is entirely too small. That's better. It's a little big now, but that's fine. Gaius van Baelsar had ordered his people to probe the fragment of Dalamud which fell at that precise location. The impact resulted in the creation of vast caverns pervaded by corrupted crystals. Though unknown dangers lie in wait within, you must brave them all if you are to learn the truth of the calamity. And that is exactly what we're going to do. Starting now, let's go! As ever, get ready to enjoy some very good music throughout this raid series. Oh, look at our team. Well, there's our Alisaie, love it. Our Kelzune the Rabbit, also very good. I've never seen the Moogle polearm before. This is a very good squad we got here. Good fashion all around. Beldro looking awesome. Dan Ocean's looking goodness. Good fashion everywhere. Thank goodness you're going to be our tank today. I'm going to be very much a liability throughout this, but I'm very excited anyway. Also loving the fashion here. Almost hadn't seen... Oh, goodness. This is just precious. All right. Okay. All right. I think we're going to go now. Here goes, everyone. Wish us all luck. Why am I running in front? I guess I'm the canary in this coal mine. That feels right. The scars left by the calamity. I can scarce breathe for the surfeit of ether. Tell me, have you ever seen corrupted crystals such as these? Such crystals manifested across the realm when the course of the great river of ether was irrevocably altered 5 years ago. Behold one of the objects that caused that alteration, a fragment of the lesser moon, Dalamud. Ancient Allag created Dalamud, or Meteor to use the Garlean name, to serve as a celestial prison for Bahamut. Its fall inflicted grievous wounds upon the land, wounds that have yet to heal, as is evident from the corrupted crystals. That melody is the main theme from the original Final Fantasy 1.0. Amazing. Dalamud's internal defenses still function in spite of everything, a testament to the ingenuity of the Alligans. The Garleans seek to appropriate their advanced technology, I'm certain of it. We're about to come face to face with secrets that have long lain buried within the sands of time. Great dangers may lie beyond, but we've come too far to turn back. The truth of the calamity is within reach. That it is. This music has kind of become the theme of, like, A Realm Reborn, and it's, like, become the unofficial theme of Final Fantasy XIV's, like, saving, which is just extremely cool, the added weight the history of this game has lent this piece of music that was not written with that intent in mind. And now I remember why I'm the one running in front. It's because cutscenes happen frequently, and folks are wanting to make sure that I'm... Wow, that used to not die that fast. It used to be you had like 4 minutes to kill that thing or everyone died. And I say that because that used to be a concern. Anyway. Oh, it's been so long since I did this raid series. I'm excited to see it again. There's a lot of cool stuff in here. God's preserve. Dark wings that would engulf the very heavens. These could only belong to Bahamut, the primal who laid Eorzea to waste 5 years ago. At Cartano, my grandfather sought to imprison Bahamut anew by invoking the power of the 12. Alas, the dreadworm proved too powerful, and he soon broke free of his confines. Yet instead of resuming the destruction he'd begun, Bahamut vanished. Whither to, no one knew, until this day. But I do not understand. If Bahamut's truly a primal, how is it that he retains his physical form? Did Grandfather defeat him, or is there some other explanation? We must press on if we're to learn the truth. Alisaie, does it feel weird having, like, your cat alter ego hanging out? Don't think too hard about it. No weirder than the rabbit cosplay happening immediately behind. I guess you roll with the punches here in here in Eorzea sometimes. Great views though, right? Man. Good spectacle. And good tunes. It's really interesting also seeing and chatting with Alisaie here. Just because, like Alphino, they've not really, like, found her character yet. Or, like, really developed her yet. Both of these twins really kind of settle into themselves from Heavensward onward. And they just become two of my favorite Final Fantasy characters in general. Really, like, the long-spanning cast of 14, a lot of them have become a lot of my favorite Final Fantasy characters in general. And these twins are great. You wouldn't know it from your, like, first impressions of them, but man. I adore them now. I'm excited to go on that journey with a lot of you. You're not getting much chance to hear the battle music in here, but trust me, it's also very good. God, I love that piano in here, though. Well, here we go. Boss number 1. Yes, indeed. Here we are. Caduceus, the first of the bosses. I admit I'm going to be a lot worse about trying to explain hypothetical mechanics in this one. Because there's a lot of them, and there's a lot of fights, and I tried to absorb as much as I could before starting here. This one originally would drop a whole lot of pools, spawns would come in, and if those spawns reached the boss, they would, like, remove some buffs from the boss, but the more HP those spawns had, the more, like, healing they would give to the boss as well. So you wanted to wear the, like, spawns down considerably, but not kill them, let them reach the boss. Like, there was so much micromanaging, I do not know how anyone beat this raid before, like, before we were able to do this unsynced, before we were able to do this with late game gear. It's really absurd. Like, if you just want to see how bonkers raid mechanics and coordination can get, 14's hardly alone in that, obviously, but it could get pretty wild, and this raid kept very experienced teams busy for weeks trying to beat it sometimes. It was pretty bonkers. And we got a lot more to do, so let's get out of here. All right, that's a 1. Now let's queue for number 2. Yep. Different description? Yes. At the depth of 912 yalms, you find your path blocked by Dalamud's internal defenses. Born of advanced Allagan science, these spherical constructs are still fully functional even after eras in existence, and will seek to annihilate all intruders or be destroyed in attempt. All right, here we go. We're just going to be doing like 5 back-to-back-to-back here, and then lots more story, and then the next set. Let's go. Really cool structure designs. I love how you can immediately identify Allagan, like, architecture and technology when you see it. It feels out of place in this world. All right. Here we go. This one, like, this raid is going to be a little bit weird in that the structure of it is quite strange. Not in that there's, like, a whole bunch of very small little phases to run through. Just in that, usually, later on in the game, as we get to other raids that are essentially just sort of like a succession of boss fights that you get into, usually it is just that. You queue up, you do a big, tough boss fight, you queue up for the next big, tough boss fight, you queue up for the next one, and then you do like 12 of those over the course of that raid series. Some raids work like that, others work more similarly to the Crystal Tower thing, where it's just like 3 big wings that have a bunch of ad phases and stuff to run through and a bunch of bosses in each one. Bahamut's weird in that it's kind of a weird mix of both. There's a set of like 13 to run through, some of which are just boss fights, some of which are just running through fighting random ads and stuff. Some of them are, one of them's just a weird platforming thing that isn't really a challenge at all. Like, there's fights in it, but it's just platform. It's very strange. They were clearly figuring out how raids in this game are going to work, and there were a few just sort of like trip-ups and missteps here and there. So yeah, we're done. We're done with the second one. That was it. Granted, it didn't used to go that fast, not nearly, but still, that was it. That's number 2. I wonder what cool gear we're getting. All right. On to the next thing. Time to queue up for number 3. Here we go. These are going faster than I thought. That's not always going to be true. At the depth of 1,233 yalms, your party comes upon the fragment of Dalamud the Garleans had sought. Its true identity is the Ragnarok, a colossal starship which fell away from the Lesser Moon moments before Bahamut burst free of his prison over the Cartano Flats. To reach your destination, you must venture through this relic of ancient Allag. Stay ever on your guard, for every shadow may conceal dangers. They say that. This is the goofy platforming one. So, enjoy some silliness. And here we are. So, I mean, there are fights in this one, but it's mostly just kind of running around and doing little jumps. Like so. Boing. And just making our way down by doing little jumps, fighting things occasionally. The little sigils on the ground are kind of Final Fantasy X-esque. I've just noticed. Right? It feels like the trials or whatever those things are in Final Fantasy X you have to run through. I love, like, there's just subtle little nods and references to all the Final Fantasies spread throughout this game. I feel like 10 is one of the ones that's gotten the least, has had like the least presence in 14 so far. I would love to see what sort of ways they could integrate like Final Fantasy X enemies or concepts or designs into a future expansion at some point. Partly just because I love 10. I'm just shutting up so you can enjoy the music now. Die. We're almost toward the bottom. Don't think we were meant to go that way. That's one thing you can do for fun if you're just getting bored in this particular tier of the raid. Occasionally just switch up the directions and send your party mates off in the wrong direction. Just for fun. Gotta make your own fun sometimes. I was wrong. We're not near the bottom. There's more. I'm glad it is possible to unsync your way and mostly easy mode your way through these now, just because, like, especially for this one, digging so much into the story of the Calamity in general, like, that's pretty vital Final Fantasy XIV story history. Like, this is an important one. People need to be able to see this. There are some raid series later that are just fun, self-contained stories or big references to other Final Fantasy games, and those are a blast too. But they don't really have any significance to the main story at all, so if you skip over them, that's totally fine. This is not one of those. I feel like if you are into the story of 14 at all, you need to experience this one. So I'm glad that it is, I'm glad it can be accessed now. I don't actually know which way we're supposed to go on this one. I'm trusting them. Come on. There we go. Hops. And there we go. We're done. Good job, team. Thanks for knowing which direction to go. All right. Time to queue up for number 4. Hey, day's breaking. That's nice. All right. So, turn 4. At 1,524 yalms below the surface, employing the Ragnarok's drive cylinder as a makeshift lift, your party proceeds toward the main bridge. Yet you must work for every yalm you gain, for Dalamud's internal defenses will not allow you to pass unmolested. Here we go. And here we are. This one, I think, is just like waves of enemies coming at you on this elevator, if I recall correctly. There we go. Whoop. Yep, we'll just be riding down and enemies are gonna just keep coming at us nonstop. Some of which you might recognize the designs of. Final Fantasy XII fans and 13 fans, I think, will see a few familiar faces. Or, faces is probably the wrong word, but a familiar robot faces. You know what I mean. Familiar? Yes? We need to play more Final Fantasy games on this channel, I'm realizing. As soon as we can figure out how to make room for them. Especially given how much I've studied the animation and the darn things at this point. Oh, we're done. It's gonna be a real back and forth here in terms of difficulty. A lot of them are gonna be this easy, but then some of them you can die in. The next one I think is definitely one where we could die, and I might. Just to keep you prepared, the 9th turn is the real scary one. That's the one where there will be some deaths and maybe wipes probably. Everyone in the crew is pretty prepared. I'll probably die, at least. They all know what they're doing. I just might be the one who dies. So, I might die on this next one too. We'll find out, won't we? All right then. Here we go. Let's queue up for the last of this set. Oop. Having overcome the seemingly endless waves of hostile constructs, you and your stalwart companions continue the descent into an unknown abyss. At the depth of 1910 yalms, you are assailed by a winged terror, an ancient dragon brought to heel by the Alligans and made to do their bidding. The trials grow ever more arduous, but you are resolved to press on for the sake of truth. That we are. I'm predicting now, this is where I'm going to have my first death. Oh, that claw's cool. All right. Well, here we are. Hope I'm going the right way. It has been like a year since I did this raid series for the first time. This is going rather more smoothly than I expected. Yeah, me too. It is indeed convenient to have a hero on hand. And 7 better heroes behind him. Gods, the caverns should open up again, even at this depth. Huh. This resembles a finger. And so it should. This is Bahamut's hand. As with the wings, it seems to be frozen, and for that I count my blessings. But again, I find myself wondering, how is it able to retain physical form? I had assumed that Bahamut's reversion to ether was the cause of widespread changes to the realm, but if he's still here, then that theory no longer holds. What was it then that brought about the realm's sudden regeneration? There's still so much we don't know about Cartano. I haven't the slightest inkling how deep these caverns run, but we must continue. That we must. I'm used to there being a lot more story stuff between fights and raid runs, honestly. Raids have started to get a lot more story dense over time, in my experience. All right. Here comes a fight, and there's a lot of ways to die instantly in this fight. Still. Meet Twintania, everyone. Here we go. So, that's a way you can die. Standing on the outside is just like a super good way to die. Instantly. Let's see if we can take care of a few ads while some raises are happening. Standing in those fires will probably just hurt, but I'm not going to test it. Later on, there are going to be some dive bombs from this dragon, where it attempts to knock you around, and if it knocks you around into this purple stuff, you will die. If it lasts long enough, we're also going to see some twisters pop up around the ground, and if they do... Oh, they're not. Great. Oh, hey, there's some of the dive bombs. At some point in the fight, if things were working as they were supposed to, we would need to be standing in this for protection from like a major damaging attack. But, oop, ads. This fight is also notorious for having some of these twister attacks that can pop up later on. I don't know if we're going to end up seeing them, given how fast this fight is going, but they are untelegraphed, so you need to be like kind of moving and running around in a circle to try to avoid them like hitting you, or avoid them spawning at your feet, because if they do, you just die instantly. And I believe that these mechanics were all a lot harder way back in the day. Is not everybody in here? I don't think everyone's in here. Oh dear. It'll be fine. I believe a lot of these mechanics were tuned a lot harder back in the day, even like ignoring the like higher level and better gear we have going on right now. Like, I think that they had to nerf this raid a few times to make it manageable in its day. Again, I was watching some videos to prepare for this a little bit to try to get acquainted with at least a few of the mechanics, and I was just in awe. Yep, there's a death. Hey, Tontania, you want to come down here so we can hit you? Pretty please. I think we've moved through some phases of this fight so quickly that we're just kind of having to wait for the raid mechanic design to catch up a little bit. That's okay. She'll get here when she gets here. Oh, there you are. Hello. Finish it quick. There we go. Okay, okay, okay. Again, sorry you're not really getting a taste for like what the actual mechanics of a lot of these are right now. I'm mostly here for the story. But the further into the game we get content-wise, the more mechanics we're just inevitably going to be seeing, because the higher level they will be. And honestly, the mechanics are, I think, a lot more fun and interesting to play around with later on. But good job, everyone! We did it! We're through the first set! Good job, team! You all did great, you all looked great, which is even more important, and you got me through it, which is really all, like, the most I could possibly ask for. I'm super grateful. Thank you all very much. But we're not done. No. Now it's time to see some more story, and, click need on a bunch of things real fast. Hang on. Sorry. Just a second. Yes, okay. There we go. And now, let's move on to more story things. Thank all of you, just a whole bunch. You all did great. And now, moving on. Story time. All right, and here we are. Let's see what waits ahead. We'll be bringing in basically 3 different crews for each of these batches of fights. This first set was, as I understand it, definitely the easiest of the 3. The rest will probably go fairly smoothly as well, given how skilled and knowledgeable all these folks are, but they do get harder. This contraption, is it used to control the saturation of ether? I suppose there's only one way to find out. The dragon you vanquished earlier, doubtless you noticed the peculiar contraption about its neck. It was likely a receptor of some description, used to enslave the creature. Ancient Alleg possessed the means to control dragons, it would seem. The Ishgardians would kill for this knowledge, though to be sure, it could easily be brought to bear against them. An army of dragons could turn the tide of any battle, as the Garleans once learned to their sorrow. I'd not be the least bit surprised if they now sought to exploit this power. Whatever their plans, this serves as another reminder of the might of the Allegans. One cannot help but wonder how so advanced a civilization came to fall. Alisaie, what did you do? Gods be good. This is Bahamut's head. And that enormous crystal, it pulsates as if it were a heart. Then the primal that had awakened was Bahamut all this time? No, this cannot be true. This would mean that grandfather died for naught. Confound it, we do not know enough to strike at it now. We must withdraw. Who is that? No, it can't be. Grandfather? Is it truly you? No. Don't leave me again. Please. Grandfather! I know. We can do no more for now. What a really cool set piece, though. Just some real gorgeous art in general. Well, anyway, we've got a lot more to see and do. But this looks like... How did we come to be in northern Thanalin of all places? Oh, but such details matter little. Grandfather's alive, Derman. Bahamut did not defeat him. But why won't he return to us? I don't understand. This expedition has yielded more questions than it did answers. At any rate, we'd both be better for a rest. Let us return to the Waking Sands and reflect upon what we've seen. Thank you, Dermot. Without you, none of this would have been possible. Happy to help, although honestly, I don't feel like I deserve much credit. I was mostly just walking in front. All right, let's get back to the Waking Sands and see what more story there is to be seen today. One moment. And here we are. Good to see you too. I'm pleased to see you again, Dermot. I've already shared the fruits of our expedition with Urianger. Let us together ponder their implications. Let's do. Alisaie's pledge, I think, is probably the one. Urianger would speak with you regarding your experience inside the binding coil. Full glad I am for thy safe return. Lady Alisaie hath apprised me of thy many experiences. As thou wilt doubtless be aware, Master Louisoix was my lady's grandsire. Gravely concerned was I for her safety, but 'twould seem I need not have been so. With all my heart, I do thank thee for watching over her. But come, thou must speak with Mistress Alisaie upon that which transpired within the binding coil. May it serve to bring us closer to the truth of the calamity. Sounds good. Let's talk. Shall we begin then? Urianger, I understand you have a report of your own to share with us. Aye, my lady. Even as thou didst emerge from the depths, an etheric disturbance betokening primal activity was observed. In Mordona was it marked first. By comparison of time and magnitude, we have since deduced its origin, the Cartano Flats. Strange. There have been no reports of primal activity in that region. It could only have been Bahamut. That would certainly explain how we came to be in northern Thanalin. Somehow the cavern took us all the way from Vilbrins to the heart of Aldenard. 'Twould seem so, my lady. It's all but certain, then. After Bahamut disappeared 5 years ago, he hid himself deep beneath Cartano, and has since lain dormant, regenerating. Aye, my lady. Taken together with thine own account of Bahamut's continued presence, the land's slowness to heal and the disorder of the etheric currents do point to one conclusion. Bahamut stirreth. If left unchecked, the primal shall drink of Eorzea's life force till he doth awaken to rain ruin upon the land. Rest assured, I do not mean to give up, Dermot. Bahamut may still live, but so too does Grandfather. For the past 5 years, he's been keeping vigil over his nemesis, making certain that the primal does not escape. Master Louisoix doth yet live? I durst not hope. And thou art certain 'twas no mere manifestation of thine all too sorely felt grief. I know how desperate this may sound, Urianger, but I saw him with my own 2 eyes, as did Dermot. But he vanished deeper into the labyrinth before we had a chance to speak. 2 more like fragments of Dalamud pierced the earth when the lesser moon fell. One we have seen. If we can but find the other 2, I'm certain that we will find Grandfather as well. If thou so believest, my lady, then I too shall have faith. If it please you, I shall notify the grand companies of this development. All Eorzea must stand united if we're to avert a repeat of the calamity. That will not be necessary, Urianger. Being the great conciliator that he is, Alphino will seek to unite Eorzea of his own accord. If rumors are true, that endeavor's already well underway. So let us leave the diplomacy to the diplomat, while we continue our investigation of Bahamut. I swear to you, no matter what it takes, we will find my grandfather and uncover the whole truth of the calamity. Dermot, you've heard me swear to do these things, but without your strength, I cannot hope to make good on my word. The danger to Eorzea is not past. For the sake of all who abide here, I pray that you'll ever be our sword in the darkness. Happy to help. All right then. That, I think, is going to wrap it up for today. I believe. Yes. All right. That is the first third of the Coils of Bahamut raid series. I hope you're enjoying it. And on Wednesday, I think, whenever, the next episode, we will continue. Until then, do take care, everyone, and goodbye.